Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 722, written by PeaceLoveCali, a giant pile of lost objects. I've always had odd, unlikely, and even seemingly impossible things happen to me. I dare not go into all of them, as I honestly believe something is attached to me, be it an angel with a sense of humor, plain old weird karma, energy, I don't know. I don't want to upset whatever it might be. I write this with no disrespect intended. This is just to tell you about the many items that I've had literally disappear, never to be seen again. Even today, every day, things are not where I leave them. I've learned I have to be very aware of where I put something, maybe keys, glasses, my remote control. And still, when I look for it later, not only is it not where I put it, but I might find it under other things like a shirt or piece of paper that I had not moved. That's my day-to-day. But I've had many items really disappear. I've only over the last couple of years become aware of the multiverse theory or given any real consideration to it. Maybe this is where they go? In the 1980s, I was going from the car to our condo with my husband and some family members. The parking spot we'd parked at was a mere 15 or so yards from our door, but at the time this happened, I'd walked at most 5 yards from the car. I took my giant wad of a keychain from the car and held it in my hand. As we all walked towards the condo, within a matter of seconds, I realized my keys were no longer in my hand. I asked everyone to stop and help me look for them. My husband had known I had my keys, so he assumed I'd dropped them somewhere. We all assumed that, although I knew it would have been impossible for me not to have heard a substantial clink if they dropped from my hand to the pavement, considering I had many keys and a lot of unnecessary metal keychains. There was only black pavement between the car and the condo, as I hadn't made it as far as a small grassy area. Everyone looked for about 20 minutes, including all through the car and the entire parking lot and grass, even though I hadn't been near the grass. Those keys never turned up. I had to have remade 3 car keys, house keys, mailbox key, and other random keys like those to my parents' house. None of my family would have taken my keys as a prank, never admitted to it, and let me spend all that hassle to replace everything. I couldn't replace the keychains. I lived there another 7 years, and those keys were never found, not even by my neighbors. My husband and I lived near San Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge was celebrating an anniversary which we attended. My husband bought me a really cool t-shirt commemorating the event, and I love that t-shirt. It was just the two of us. We got into the car, and of course I had the shirt with me. I even opened it up and looked at it again in the car as we were driving home. It was dark by then and a little breezy, so we had all the car windows rolled up. We didn't stop anywhere between the bridge and home, but you know what I'm going to say. The shirt never made it to our home, and I never saw that t-shirt ever again. When we got home, it was not in the car anywhere, and even checking and rechecking the car over the next couple of years, it never turned back up. This also happened with a movie rental from a video store. I'd put the VHS into the car, and by the time I got to the video store, it was gone. It was exactly the same several years later with a rented video game. Also, I had a banana disappear once from a car, but no telltale smell of old banana ever appeared. It just wasn't there. Mysteriously, these are all car-related, even though they were all in different cars and over many different years. I've lost many other things that I know were in my house that were just never located again, even after moving. Special things that I put in a special place just vanished. Of course, I've lost things that I can attribute to theft or human error, but most of these can't. Are all of these many lost things in a big pile together in some other reality or dimension? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Case notes for file 722, The Giant Pile of Lost Objects. So just recently, I narrated a story about someone losing plenty of jewelry throughout their life. It disappeared, would reappear, and then disappear again. And I had postulated that this could be related to some sort of entity attached to them. I don't really like using the word haunting. I don't think that's descriptive. It carries too much negative connotations. It's a bit too heavy. More like a person of interest in supernatural affairs. For some reason, different people attract supernatural entities and events more than others. Kinda like a mosquito is attracted by a person's CO2 output and their pheromones, we have invisible lures, depending on what we're luring in. Be them bugs or something a bit more intense. There's just something about certain individuals that have a greater tether to out-of-phase beings. But about this glitch specifically, what astounds me more than anything else is the banana vanishing. Because for any other inanimate object that wouldn't degrade, at least not with an odor, you could always attribute it to somehow, unlikely, getting caught in an area that you can't access. Now, that in of itself is kind of a glitch, but you can sort of try to rationalize it away. But if it's something that would rot and produce unspeakable stench, well, there's no way around that. If the banana was there, and you know it was, and now it's just not, and you didn't eat it, you leave a banana in a hot car and the smell is going to be a mortal threat. You're going to need a biohazard team to deal with that. Total proof through a banana. Who would have guessed?
Creepy file number 41. Written by Jedi Bo Jedi Prime 29. The Eternal Stare. I work in the public sector where basically we have books, but they're all free as long as you have a card, if you get it. And there are a lot of patrons who can be creepy. Some are disturbed or have mental issues, which is understandable as to why they are creepy, but it still doesn't help. Now, there's a guy I used to see sometimes when I'm working who just stares. He stares at people, anyone really. Tonight, he decided to stare at me, all shift. I only noticed a few times. This night, I saw that he had left for the bus stop after we closed. I left for the grocery store, hoping to avoid him. When I arrived at the shop, he was there. Now, he left early enough to get on 2 different buses before the one we both got on. At the stop, I sat down to just chill, and he paced the stop, staring at me still, unblinking the whole time. I'm a pretty big guy, so it takes a lot to creep me out. He accomplished this somehow in 2 minutes. He kept staring at me until I moved. I figured if I stood up, I'd be at a better angle to defend myself. He then took my seat. See, this bench has 2 spots. Instead of taking the unsat in, empty spot on the right, he took my exact spot and continued to stare, following me with his eyes as I kept moving around, waiting for this damn bus to show. I, at one point, began moving back to my work for a better area. I would rather take the creepy people around there than him. Now, in reality, I wasn't really in immediate danger as I could easily have taken him, but I don't want to know what he could do. The LED sign of the bus crested the hill before the headlights, which gave me a sense of relief. That would be quickly diminished. Now this guy has stared at me before, but never got on the bus too. Tonight he had enough cash. This is when I knew he was following me. I began to head to the back of the bus. He still followed. I quickly changed directions and sat near the front. He weaseled his way to the front and quickly took a seat directly across from me. I know this because as I was nodding off, an intense instinct of, I'm in danger, took over, and my eyes shot open. There he was, ever unblinking, ever staring, ever creepy. Now this part is what has scared me for a bit. For a week and a bit, my bus service closed some major stops without thinking how it would impact anyone. Anyways, my closer to home stop is closed, so for a couple shifts I had to get off on the stop before. Complaints from the public quickly made the closer stop become available again. He must have not known this, but somehow he did know I got off at the farther stop. This stop is also super sketchy, with the streetlight being covered by trees, making this tiny strip of sidewalk basically blacked out for a bit. This man goes to get off at the stop before, looks behind and sees me still seated. I watch in horror as he goes to take his seat again. At that moment, I took my chance and hauled ass out of that bus. He stared at me angrily through the exit door as the bus pulled away. He tried to follow me off the bus, but it was too late. The road I am on is a straight road, so you have a clear line of sight to the next stop. My horror intensified when he did not get off at the next stop. I haven't seen him since, and I hope we never meet again.